Hey everybody, this is Matt from endsickness.org. Today I'm going to talk about how self-control is the foundation to success on your healing journey. I'm going to talk about my personal struggles with self-control, how I gave into my cravings, my addictions, my impulses over and over again, how that led me into an endless cycle of being stuck in these symptoms. First, let me say I'm not a medical doctor. This is not medical advice. It's based on my personal experiences. It's for informational and educational purposes only. Okay, so self-control, how does that really impact your chronic illness symptoms? Isn't the chronic illness just a physical thing? Isn't it just something that you were diagnosed with and you have? Well, the reality is there are things that you're doing that are contributing to your illness symptoms. And typically, these are the things that we're consuming, taking, thinking, doing, these things. All these things affect the chronic illness symptoms. So if you want to look at, self-control, where would the areas of self-control be most important? Well, it'd be number one, what we're eating. Okay, what we're eating. So if we're still eating too much meat, if we're having eggs every day, we're having dairy, nuts, seeds, gluten, processed food, and guess what? We're going to end up with more chronic illness symptoms because, once again, the chronic illness is caused by your mast cells, your immune system. And your immune system, what it does is it actually sends out the inflammatory molecules that cause your symptoms, right? So when you have a reaction to a food, it flares your symptoms up. You think, oh, it's my rheumatoid arthritis. Oh, it's my fibromyalgia. Oh, it's my whatever. But really, it was a reaction your immune system was having to the food that you consumed. And these common allergens are to blame for lots and lots of things, because when these foods like the nuts, the seeds, the gluten, the dairy, these hard to digest complex proteins, when they're not fully digested, then they leak into the blood and they cause systemic issues. And that's how symptoms flare. So self-control is critical, because what happens is when you get a little bit of progress, usually from your chronic illness, you go, hey, I'm feeling a little bit better. Then you go out and have the wrong food, or you take more of this supplement to kill this infection, quote unquote. The reality is you got to have self-control. You got to have a plan. You got to be consistent, especially with your food. Because if you're eating, you're doing good for a few days, and then you dive in and you have something that you shouldn't, then you flare up for a few days. It cuts this endless cycle of just constant flares, one reaction to the next, to the next, to the next, which promotes your symptoms. So self-control is absolutely critical with food. If you can't control yourself around certain foods, then you need to get yourself, get those foods out of your house. Just get those foods out of your house. I had to do it with peanuts. I had to do it with chocolate. I had to do it with dates. I had to do it with a lot of foods. And it was critical, because if I had those foods there when I was in a place where I was vulnerable, stress-wise, or fatigue-wise, or whatever, then I'd go to these foods, and et cetera. So what's another area of self-control? Okay. Stopping researching 24/7. Once you find good information like this, once you realize that it's what you're eating, what you're inhaling, what you're thinking that's causing your illness, there's no reason to keep researching forever and ever and ever. You got to have self-control there too, because this research actually feeds into this fear that something's wrong, and it feeds into this neurological dysfunction, this nervous system dysfunction, and it makes your body feel like something's wrong. There's a threat. You still need to fix something, and it puts you in a state of fight or flight. So you got to have self-control there. Once you finally realize that you have the right information, you got to do the right things. You got to eat the right foods. You got to take the right supplements. You got to do the breathing, the meditation, these things, etc. So that's another area of self-control. Another area of self-control is your thoughts. Okay, you got to catch yourself in the middle of these counterproductive thoughts, these self-sabotage thoughts, the ones where you say I'm not good enough, where or things aren't working out for me. This is all bad luck. Where you're the victim. Okay, where you're the victim in the conversation. If you're the victim in the conversation, guess what? It's not a good conversation. It's not going to help you to grow. It's not going to help you to learn anything. It's not going to help you to get where you want with your goals. So you got to have self-awareness and self-control when it comes to your thoughts, okay? When the thoughts come in, you got to say, no, that's enough, okay? And you got to take control of your thoughts. You got to go ahead and slow it down with the deep breathing. If you can't control your thoughts, if they're going in too fast and you can't control them, then guess what? Just focus on the ones that you want to build off, the good ones, and do some slow, deep breathing, some meditation. These things will help you slow your thoughts down and allow you to gain control of your thoughts again. So self-control with your food, self-control with your thoughts, self-control with the research, self-control with the supplements. You don't want to take 18 supplements, okay? Too many supplements. You think more supplements are going to fix me because there's something wrong with me. I need to take this vitamin C, vitamin B, this, that. I got to take everything to try to fix me. Self-control with the supplements. That's another one that's absolutely critical. And then self-control with the behaviors, because sometimes people will go ahead and overdo things when they have chronic illnesses. They'll say, I'm going to go for a walk, and then they do 12,000 steps when they had only done 4,000 before. They go play tennis for 2 hours when they can't do that right now. Self-control with your behaviors, your actions. These things can trigger you as well. So thanks for watching, everybody. Self-control is really the foundation to success with your chronic illness. If you don't have self-control and discipline, you end up in a constant loop of actions that'll reinforce your symptoms. Take it from me. I did it for 10 years. I'm the master of self-sabotage and having issues with self-control. Now I was able to overcome it, and I'm teaching now through this video how I did. So thanks for watching, everybody. And if you have any questions, go to endsickness.org. I have hundreds of articles, hundreds of videos on there. Take care.